People don't understand how hard it is to be on the island, to go backwards, going up against top-tier athletes, each and every week.
How good did that Clemson team in 2018 have to be to knock you guys off?
I don't like to talk about that game too often, but...
What's your best Saban story, that you feel like only his DBs know about?
The guy I was supposed to cover was wide open. I go back to the huddle. Next thing you know, I see a straw bucket hat fly on the ground. He's like, God damn it, Patrick.
Your former Bama teammate Henry Ruggs spoke recently. This is a little bit in the news of him going out and speaking and obviously wanting to return to the league. Have you gotten a chance to speak to him at all?
Yeah, I spoke to him prior. Obviously his actions doesn't justify who he is as a person.
We're living in the good old days. Take a look around. Ain't it funny how feels like we're in the good old days. Go and grab a cup, go and fill it up. Cheers to living in the good old days.
Today I have the honor of chopping up the #1 shutdown corner in the NFL today, the national champion, a 3-time Pro Bowler and a 2-time All-Pro, and reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Welcome to the pod, my guy PS2. What's up, brother? Welcome.
What's going on, man? Appreciate you for having me.
Of course, bro. Appreciate you coming on. As we take it back a little bit into the college days, decided to go to Alabama. You get the honor of working and playing for one of the best coaches that we've seen in college football. Usually very hands-on with his DBs. What's your best Saban story? That you feel like only his DBs know about and that you learned from playing in the secondary?
Not a lot of people know Saban was ready with the DBs, each and every day in the DB meeting rooms. So I remember one practice, it was my freshman year. The playbook this big and a whole bunch of plays, whole bunch of, adjustments to certain formations. So it was reading Chinese at first, you know what I mean? So I'm going into the book trying to recognize a specific play, and I went over it in the notes. Then we get into practice, and it was just one team period, and I got in there, and the first play that was called was that exact play. So in my head, I'm going through it. I'm like, okay, what I do to this formation? What's my role? What's this coverage? So in my head, I'm thinking, and I went into this one specific zone, and I fucked it up. And I knew I fucked it up because the guy I was supposed to cover was wide open. So next thing you know, I'm like, man, I fucked that up. I go back to the huddle. Next thing you know, I see a whole, a straw bucket hat fly on the ground. He's like, God damn it, Patrick. We went over this in the film meeting room. You got to get that shit together. Then I looked. I was like, yep, I fucked that up. Because he was on my ass about it the whole day. That's what he expect out of his guys, just greatness, being able to apply what you see in the meeting room to the field. So after that, I ain't mess up one thing after. I kept that coach's trust for sure.
How was it, obviously lining up against so many future pros and, unbelievably stacked group you're going against every single week? Who do you feel like during those times at Alabama was just tough to go up against and line up against every single day?
Man, I'll say this, bro. I think we had probably the most crucial receiver lineup in college football history.
It's tough.
We had Devontae Smith, Heisman winner. We had Jerry Jeudy, Balentikov winner. We had Jalen Waddle and Henry Ruggs. It's self-explanatory. Going up against those guys every day, it seemed like a game day atmosphere. Each and every Saturday, it felt like it was easier because in every practice, you was going up against those guys who are now at the top of the game in their position. So, it's good going up against those guys because we made each other better, each and every practice. And looking back at it, I was like, I don't take those moments for granted because I know how much better I could get just from practicing against those guys. So,
that 2020 Alabama team goes undefeated, wins a national championship against Ohio State. What do you think is the most significant memory or story from that national championship run for you guys?
That year was COVID year. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation on if the season should continue. I remember going to the facility with our masks, having captain meetings each and every week to figure out if, we should have this season. And I remember us as a team, the seniors, the juniors, and the captains, we all met and was like, man, what do we think about the season? Because obviously, I guess the SEC officials, the NCAA was still trying to figure out, if the season should continue because it was a prolonged situation on, the risks at hand with COVID and how that may shift things, the difficulties of having games. But I feel like that meeting, everybody's like, nah, we're going to go into the season with a national championship mindset. Like, we put the work in, throughout the spring, just to have that canceled, we wasn't going for it. So I remember, having a meeting, and we all was like, nah, we going to have the season continue and go win the Natty. And then we went on an undefeated run, whole SEC gauntlet. So it wasn't easy, but, the guys was locked in, and we made a run for the Natty, and we won it. So
You got to feel like that's one of the best, Alabama football teams of all time, huh?
yeah, got to. Just top down the talent. We had about like 7 to 8 first-round picks that year. So, that speaks for itself.
Throughout your time at Alabama, the amount of guys who have come through there. Jalen, Tua, Mac Jones, Jerry Jeudy, Devontae, Diggs, Jacobs. The list goes on and on. How good did that Clemson team in 2018 have to be to knock you guys off?
They had to be pretty good, honestly. To beat the type of team we had, I don't like to talk about that game too often, but I was supposed to have 2 natties, by the way, but, it's all good. Clemson, they had a good team, though. They had our number for sure. It'd be like that. It was any given Saturday, any given Sunday. So, they got the best of us. They outnumbered us, outcoached us. It's a game of football. You win some, you lose some, but it was definitely something for us to learn, a learning experience going into the next year. For us, it was not to have that feeling again. So, we learned from it, and we got ourselves better at the end of the day.
You made it right a couple years later for sure, too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Bryce Young was a backup on that 2020 team. You saw him in Week 8 last season. He ended up picking him off.
Yeah.
You got to look at his his game and feel like even though he struggled a little bit, he's going to get things back on track and he's going to be all right. He's obviously a hell of a player.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's just like laid back and chill. His personality, and when he got to the league, obviously he wasn't put in the best position, as most. So obviously we see the potential, and I've seen it, with him as a freshman, stepping in Alabama and making crazy throws and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to his success. I'm rooting for him. A fellow Alabama guy, I'm always root for. So his potential is through the roof, and I think he's gonna have a big season this year for sure.
Your former Bama teammate Henry Ruggs spoke recently. This is a little bit in the news of him going out and speaking and obviously wanting to return to the league. Have you gotten a chance to speak to him at all? And, if not, what are you hoping for him in his situation?
Yeah, I spoke to him prior. Obviously he's in positive spirits and good hopes. Obviously his actions doesn't justify who he is as a person. It's one mistake, one big mistake, obviously, but he's in good spirits and good hopes. I'm wishing the best for him. He's my guy at the end of the day. So we all talk to him, fellow Alabama guys. So we keep in touch, stay in the loop with him. But he's in good spirits for sure. So
I want to take a quick break to talk to you about one of my favorite brands, Fanatics. Some of you might know me as Johnny Football, but today you can all call me Johnny Fancash. Fancash is the top reason bettors choose to bet with Fanatics Sportsbook. Here's why. When you bet with Fanatics Sportsbook, you get fan cash, win or lose. You can then redeem your fan cash on anything Fanatics. Fresh apparel from Mitchell & Ness, rare collectibles, trading cards, and of course, bonus bets with the Sportsbook. It's a rewards program, but for sports betting. So all those bets you make, win or lose, get you closer to something awesome. Also, new customers, don't miss a special welcome offer. Sign up and use promo code Glory Daze to get $200 in bonus bets when you place your first bet of $20 or more. Download Fanatics Sportsbook and get in on the fan cash. And maybe you'll get a cool nickname too. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts residents, call 800-327-5050. New York residents, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents, visit mdgambling-help.org. Now back to the episode. Being the son of a former NFL great, Dad spent 11 years in the league. Strictly from a football perspective, what do you feel like that benefited you, and the best piece of advice you got as you were on your way up?
I'll say it benefited me because, not many people are able to be around that, have that a part of their family experience. So, I'm forever grateful for that. Being around that, we shared a lot of memories, fun memories together, on and off the field. Him being there for me, him watching me grow each and every year from when I was a youth to high school to college, now to pros. He's been there every step of the way.
Your dad always has notes for you, but if you were to put on your dad's tape a little bit, what do you feel like your Mel Kiper scouting reporter, your pops is?
I don't know how to impersonate Mel Kiper. So, I say he's sticky in coverage. He got all the intangibles. He could run. He's pretty fast, not faster than me though, but got good ball skills. He could do everything. Shut down another receiver on the opposing side. So that's his scouting report for sure, because I've seen it each and every week.
No doubt. The greats never stop working on their craft. You win DPOY last year. Have you felt like there's still areas that you're trying to hone in on and continue to work on and take that next step even in your game?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm always looking to make that next step each and every year. So I can always refine my technique and my tools that'll help me succeed, be even more of a better leader. Sometimes I feel like, dang, I could have been in a situation, I could have spoke about this or done this better, be a better example for my teammates. So, I try to exemplify what a leader looks like, not even saying that it's perfect. It's never perfect being a leader, but, putting your best foot forward each and every week, and showing the guys what it takes to win at a high level, because that's where I come from. Alabama winning football games, even in high school, winning state championships. So, just exemplifying what it takes to win at a high level.
Hall of Famer Champ Bailey said he fully expects you to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. What does it mean to have a player like that speak about you so highly, especially a legend in Denver?
Shoot, that's huge. Coming from a legend like that and Champ, obviously, one of the greatest to ever do it, ever. So, to hear that come from him, obviously I'm doing something right. It speaks a lot when you got a Hall of Famer tell you that you're a future Hall of Famer as well. So, I watched a lot of his film growing up, seen a lot of his games, and obviously he was a hell of a player. So hearing that come from him, it means a lot, no doubt.
You faced a lot of great receivers. Jamar Chase is probably one you faced college and the pros.
Yeah.
Got a ton of time to study him, maybe more than anyone. What do you feel like you've done that's been so well to be able to, kind of neutralize him and make him a little bit ineffective when you guys have faced up against each other?
Obviously, he's a great receiver. Him and Joe Burrow got a good connection. So, every time I go up against him, I know I got to bring my A game, because I know he's going to bring his. And, we've been competing since high school. So it's like second nature going up against him. But even more, he's even better. So that means I got to get even better in my tools and my craft. So it's always a great matchup between us two. Just going through the film study and the preparation, I know that it's going to be a battle that I got to look forward to. So
A.J. Brown on the schedule, Devontae Smith, C.D., Malik, Travis Hunter. Who are these guys you feel like you're most looking forward to facing, or is it just, another guy on the schedule, we'll break it down that week and just go with it?
Shoot, you listed the names, so, I'm just looking forward to each and every week, bringing my A game. So, yeah, I got my hands full this year, but, I'm looking forward to it. I love challenges, so.
Who do you feel like, throughout your career has been a guy that maybe has caught you off guard a little bit, or a guy you walked away at the end of the week being like, damn, that was a lot tougher matchup than I thought?
Not saying he's underrated, but I feel like, his name could be talked about more a little bit. I say like Garrett Wilson. I think he's a polished receiver for sure. Like, he's underrated in my book, because I feel like, he could play any position. He's crazy athletic, could catch anything, very elusive. So I'll say him for sure.
Hey, real quick, I want to give a shout out to our new sponsor, Athletic Nicotine. If you're looking for a clean, sustainable energy boost without the jitters, this one's for you. Athletic Nicotine offers the lowest dose, slow release, tobacco-free nicotine made right here in the USA. And it's free from artificial sweeteners and microplastics. Whether you're an athlete, a biohacker, or just someone who loves getting into that flow state, this product is designed to gradually lift your energy, helping you stay focused and sharp without crashing. It's perfect for shifting your mindset and keeping you in the zone all day long. I use Athletic Nicotine on the golf course when I need to lock in and take the edge off. Or sometimes I throw one in during or pre-workout. It's the best performance tool to sharpen your mind. Ready to level up your focus? Head over to www.athleticnicotine.com/Johnny to grab yours today. Now let's get back to the show. Defensive player of the year, rare air, 7th corner in NFL history to get that honor done. Other names, Stephon Gilmore, Charles Woodson, Dion, Rod Woodson, Lester Hayes, Mel Blount. Rare air. What does it feel like, getting a chance to win that recognition, win that award, and obviously have that, for the rest of your life?
It feels good, knowing the work I put in before the season and being in legendary company, with the names like you said. It's a good way to cap off the season that I had, based off my performance. And it's such a prestigious award that, when I got it, it just seemed like a blur. But all glory goes to God, for giving me the ability to be successful in this profession. So,
it's obviously something like as you're going through the season, you're not expecting that that's going to come out, but you guys having, more team success than you guys originally had probably thought, expected on the outside a little bit. As that season kind of goes on a little bit, you guys are making a playoff run, you're playing at that level. It's kind of got to creep into your mind a little bit that maybe that's even a possibility.
I think when you win, obviously your play stands out more. When you generate team success to individual success, that just builds your resume throughout your career. And it was an honor to be with such a great group of guys, honing in on being successful and winning games, getting into the playoffs. So that was a great feeling for sure. I'm looking forward to making many more playoff runs in the near future. So,
before last season, you signed a huge 4-year extension to stay with the Broncos. Do you feel like that put pressure on you after signing that, or is it one of those things that just takes a little bit of pressure off after finally getting to that second deal?
I think it takes a little bit of pressure off. It's life-changing money. Getting that money, getting that bag secured. It's a big thing for me, just building generational wealth for me and my family. So, I think it took some of the pressure off. But, me in general, I always go into the season with high hopes, putting my best effort out there on the field, and just giving it all I got. Just this past season, I just focused on what can I do to, be successful for my teammates and the organization. So I think that all paid dividends towards the hard work I put in, but also getting that contract. You get a little bit of more confidence going into the season, knowing that you got that secured. So, I feel like this season was definitely something that I had admiration for.
It would probably thrust you way more into a leadership role on that defense and on that team as well, knowing that you're the face of the franchise for that defense and for the team, really. Being
in that situation, because obviously we're a young team. I'm pretty young. I'm 25 myself, so stepping into that leadership role was it was challenging at first, because we had a few veteran guys that I had the honor to play with in our secondary room. And Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson, being able to have that leadership role passed on to me, I took it as a huge honor. And, the guys accepted me in that role. And, I just built off it for sure. Having that captain on the shoulder pads, it means much more than just going out there and playing on the field. It's like you're representing your teammates. So I made sure I went out there each and every Sunday and, hold that honor to a high regard.
In 4 seasons, 3 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pros, what do you really feel like separates you and your game from others at the cornerback position that you're able to come in the league and just be so dominant so quick?
I think my mentality. I think each and every week, I go out there and follow the best receiver on each opposing team and do my best, not do my best, but, being able to lock them down, shut down half the field. I think that's a valuable asset towards the defense, having a corner that could shut down one side of the field.
Something we don't see a lot.
Yeah, something you don't see a lot because, the offense so pass-heavy and, playing the cornerback position is even more difficult. But, I accept that challenge each and every week, each and every Sunday.
As you look around the league, obviously you're a guy that's at the top of that cornerback ranking list right now. Is there a guy anybody that, you see on film or you go and look at and say, man, this guy's playing at a high level as well?
Yeah, we got some ballers in the league for sure. Like Derek Stingley, he had a great year this year. Jalen Johnson's, Sauce Gardner, another great one. Jalen Ramsey, those guys. Christian Gonzalez. It's a whole bunch of corners that I watch in today's game, you know what I mean, that I give a lot of respect to and props because, you know, I know our fair share of the game, right? You know, we probably get criticized the most because, you know, people see us making these plays, but boom, we get beat one time, we get a lot of criticism for it.
You're on the island.
We get scrutinized for it. People don't understand how hard it is to be on the island, to go backwards, going up against top-tier athletes, you know, each and every week. So, you know, I give props when it's due when I see guys playing at a high level, you know, at this position.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, it's easily, you know, in the NFL, if you spend any time in it, how you know, tough it really is to be on an island by yourself, and especially traveling. You know, most guys stick to their side of the field, you know, whatever matchup comes their way, and you kind of play it. But to travel and follow, you know, a number one guy every single play for 60, 70 plays throughout a game is you know, as tough as it gets. Summer's here, which means it's officially time to change out those warm sweaters and get into your favorite summer shorts and clothes. If you've been stuck in jeans or sweats for the last few months, set them free with the Line Swim collection from Chubbies. Whether you're poolside, lakeside, or oceanside, on that long-awaited vacation, these trunks are ready for travel. Life's too short for uncomfortable swim trunks, so these babies are set up for all-day comfort with a quick-dry, stretch fabric and built-in liner that does its job. No more chafing, no more soggy butt, no more mesh disasters. And when the sun goes down or you're heading from the beach to dinner, swap into a pair of Everywhere shorts. They fit right, feel right, and go with everything. And after wearing them once, you'll wonder why you even own any other shorts. For a limited time, use our exclusive code Johnny for 20% off chubbyshorts.com. Let the thighs out and let the good times roll. Now let's talk a little bit about your Broncos. You know, last year you guys were able to end the playoff drought, which is a big deal. But we have to talk about, you know, you had a 100-yard pick six against the Raiders, you know, Fanatics Orange Crush unis. Would you consider that to be a huge signature play for you last year in the NFL so far?
You know, I see that moment and I look back on it because during that game, throughout the duration of the game, we was down like 13-0, and they was in our, you know, territory about to score. Then it was like we needed a play, and then I made a play, and the whole momentum like shifted. So that was a real prolific moment, you know, for my career. Something I'll definitely look back on and be like, it's a very memorable highlight of my career. You know, just to score that touchdown in them classic uniforms, it was pretty special for sure.
You know, obviously, year two with Sean Payton last year, you know, a guy I know a little bit, great coach. You know, he had a lot of doubters, you know, going 8-9 in year one. How does it feel in the locker room with him now after having a year like last year? There's got to be a lot more belief and, you know, expectation that you guys can get to where you want to go with him leading the team.
Yeah, he definitely shifted the energy. You know, when you look back early on in my career, you know, we didn't make the playoffs. So, you know, him changing that around, him changing that scenario, changing the culture of the organization, I think that was a big lift from years past, you know, of the football team. And he just generates a lot of energy that we need for the team. Got a lot of swagger to him, too. You know what I mean? He talks a lot of shit, you know, in practices. But, you know, it builds our confidence, you know, when you got a coach that believes in his guys and has the utmost belief, you know, in the guys that he brings out each and every Sunday. So it's great to have him. You know, I learned a lot from him, you know, this past couple of years. But, you know, he just brings the best out of us, and that's all you want and ask for out of a coach.
Yeah, it's got to be nice to have a guy that brings some excitement to the, you know, locker room. It's a long season. You got a training camp into 16, 17 weeks. Yeah, so
for sure,
it's got to be nice to have a guy like that. All the talk last season, rookie QBs pretty much around Caleb and Jaden, and then Bo goes out and does what he does. You have to feel good with him having the year he had last year, coming into year two, that offense is going to take another step, and, you know, he's going to continue to improve.
Yeah, he gonna continue to improve just because he came in so poised with the right mindset. You know, he has all the intangibles to be successful, but, you know, what separates him from most is coming in as a rookie. He's a tremendous leader. You could tell he brings, you know, contagious energy towards the locker room just by his confidence, the way how he rallies the offense together, you know, and, you know, the way how he brings the team together. And, you know what I mean, just going in each and every Sunday, even more and more. It seems like a routine. He gets better each and every week. And I told him before, like, you know, the more and more you play good, we get better as a team. So that's all you can ask for out of the QB. And each and every practice is very competitive with him on the opposing end. We just get better each and every practice. So,
you guys have a new look Broncos secondary a little bit. You, Riley Moss, Brandon Jones, you got a first-round pick in Ja'Marr Barron. You got to feel like this secondary is ready to take the next step and really be one of the top ones in the league.
Yeah, I just think based off of last year, a lot of people doubted us, obviously, because it was a lot of people that people may not recognize, on paper. But I think last year we had a chip on our shoulder, and now we even added more and more pieces, to already great secondary. I just think that the sky's the limit for us. Obviously, we guide that route. We guide our success. But, each and every day we're going to work and keep on sharpening our craft. So that way we know that every time we step out there on Sunday that we're the best. But, it's not going to be easy. We know we got a tough schedule ahead of us, but we know the talent that we have and, how far we could go.
We talked a lot about special moments from your career. This podcast is called Glory Daze, so we always like to end our show by asking all our guests kind of the same question. If you had to choose one word to define your glory days, what's that word you're choosing? And, yeah.
I'll say legendary, just, being this platform I am right now. Looking back on my high school years, my fondest memories, I can always remember, just me grinding, sharpening my craft in the hot summers in Florida, South Florida. So I'll definitely say legendary because it was legendary moments that we shared on that gridiron, winning state championships back-to-back. So I'm forever grateful for those moments. So one word I have to choose is legendary.
We're definitely on a legendary path, man. Congratulations on all the success so far. Looking forward to getting a chance to watch you this season, bro, and appreciate you more than anything, taking the time out of your day. Come and chop it up. So much love.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Legend yourself, no doubt.